Here in Banská Bystrica, Slovakia, to visit Grand Power for the new Mark 23s. This is the Mark 23 X-Cal. You might notice there's been a few changes. We've got updated texture, it's red dot ready, new locking system, new slide cuts, steel for the dust cover, adding a lot of weight out front. A lot of other things we'll show you details more of soon. Right now, I just want to get some trigger time with it. Throw a couple rounds through it to get familiar with this thing. New locking system. The hammer is different. I think it's even better looking than the originals. Throw 5 rounds, 18 yards on a reduced torso, just to get a feel for how this thing shoots. This is 124 NATO ammunition, so it's got a little more pop than we're used to with American 115, but the gun's staying flat. I can feel that weight out front, just setting it right back down. Now this is an early production gun with relatively few rounds on it, so maybe not as smooth as my well broken in X-Cals at home. The different action type does feel different. The recoil impulse is definitely still not a Browning action, but it doesn't quite feel like the older setup. If I have enough in here, I can try. Oh, can't double. Still pretty flat shooting gun. Let's give some rounds to Tia and see what she thinks.
Signature. That shoots so smooth. And I'm having a little bit of trouble chasing the dot just because that's normal, but I'm able to my target twice quickly because that trigger's so nice. 10 rounds go so fast.
What do you think?
I really enjoy it. I like the placement of the safety. It does make the slide release a little difficult to operate just because the slide release is flat and the safety sticks out a lot. However, I can put my my support thumb on that safety, write it down, and then I'm right there. I like the way that that works for me, being able to apply more of that downward pressure, but there's never nothing to not like about a Grand Power.
So I want to do some doubles, of course, because Grand Powers are awesome, but before that, I want you guys to see the group that Tia just did with her slow fire. We're not using our normal targets because guess what? When you fly international, you don't pack your targets. But that cluster at the bottom, slightly right of the target is what Tia just did. And I can't promise to try to replicate that.
Well, there's a few of them that are quite a bit lower than that I don't think we were seeing before, but that there's not bad.
Yeah, there's my mess over on the left. So Grand Powers are known for being smooth and having an incredible trigger. Now with this extra weight up front, the dust cover itself being steel, it's sort of replicated the YouTuber trick of having a giant flashlight, or what some competitors do of adding weight to the front of the gun to keep the nose down and level. I'm gonna try hammering some at the target. Can't guarantee accuracy here. I just wanna see how the gun handles. So that's gonna be what we're looking at. Love that. as I try throwing hammered pairs, which is aiming once and squeezing twice. I'm out of practice. That felt pretty damn flat.
That was nice.
That felt really flat. With time, and hopefully in a future US video, when I've got more time on the trigger, be able to actually show you some impressive stuff on paper. But that, just as far as shooting controls and something that's learnable, that front weight is holding it there. That's pretty cool. And here's the part that I know you other Gram Power nerds are looking forward to. And if you're not a Gram Power nerd, get ready to be one. This is the X-Cal Match, sort of the, well, it is the flagship top-of-the-line competition model. And before, well, for YouTube's sake, there you go, you can see we're clear. Those of you new to Gram Powers might notice something a little funky going on there with that barrel. It's rotating. We have a steel dust cover down here that has not just one, but a whole slew of pick slots for adding lights, lasers, chainsaws, gamer weights, whatever you want to put on there. But really the point here is we've got non-reciprocating mass out front, down low. Really helps keep the nose low and flat while shooting, even flatter so than Gram Power's own rotating barrel system, which for the Mark 23s is a little bit different. I also want to show you before we dive into the mechanics how the texture has been enhanced. You can see that it looks from 30 feet it's going to look the same, but it is, I just left some fingernail stuff in this brand new gun. Sorry about that. But we have actual grip here. There is some friction here, and it's not coarse to the point that it's going to shave skin off of you, but it is coarse enough to provide some grip. And these recessed areas are right about where your fingers end up. Keep in mind I have absurdly large hands, so I'm going to overreach a little bit. But your average shooter, Tia's hands probably fit about right here. And as always with Gram Powers, you've got 4 different back straps to choose from if you need to change that reach. These are the new slide cuts. You can see still skeletonized on the X-Calibur, but they've got good depth to them and plenty for grabbing from the front for press checks, etc. Plenty wide in the rear to allow full finger width to get in there, so your finger is pushing against a full rib. You're not just getting part of your finger on there. If you guys have ever done a course with lots of racking or press checks involved and had narrow serrations, you know what I'm talking about. You end up with just a little sliver of your skin getting really tired because it's doing all the work on those narrow ones. This is wide enough to get more finger in there. Same target sight setup, however, it's attached to this plate. It's an optics plate system, which means you're not stuck married to one different type of footprint. So I applaud that. Some people have, well, a lot of people have their favorite optics, or maybe you've got an optic tied up, you buy another optic, it has a different footprint. You don't want that to mean you can't use your gun anymore. If you love that optic with the plate system, you can swap things however you want. Now let's field strip this real quick. I want to show you the updates done to the change. Those of you that are X-Calibur fans might be wondering why it's not fluted. You'll see that in a bit. And back by popular demand, a little Easter egg here for those of you that are long-term Gram Power fans. Notice that the hammer has changed. We have now this flat edge up here, easy to grab. Now, Gram Powers are single action, double action. This is not a decocker model because it's a competition model, but you've got that single action, oh so crisp, and the double action backup if need be. But you can also reach up and cock very easily with this edge that the thumb kind of just rolls into. Now let's get into the gun. Okay, watch closely because this is the super impossible, really difficult field strip that no one can perform. Takedown levers, hooking a finger here to hold on to it, slide back to the rear, up, forward, and off. Notice we have an uncaptured spring that allows for adjustment to different loads. This one's color-coded red. I'm sure other springs may or may not be available in the US. I don't know, that's not up to me, but that's what the intent is here, that you can swap these out. Also replace easily if you're a high round count shooter, like, oh, say a competition shooter, which is what this gun is oriented for. We've kept that billet stainless steel chassis system inside that's holding everything together nice and tight. But you might notice what's gone is the roller bearing that used to rest across there. Instead, Is that roll or is that just slick? Instead, we've got a pin sticking from the middle, which engages this cam groove. And what's kind of cool, some of you AK guys might recognize that profile. I think it looks a little bit more like it from the front, if I can somehow manage the camera to catch it. Very similar to the AK lug design, but in a pistol. Cam groove even kind of looks similar. So if I flip it around that way, that looks kind of like it's on an AK bolt. But that's what's governing your control, and you've got these 3 beefy lugs that are all the same piece of metal as the barrel. One solid piece machined together, so those aren't coming off, aren't going anywhere. And that has freed up some space inside of the slide. Of course, Ground Power is known for stripping any steel that doesn't need to be in the slide out of the slide, as you can see there. And we've got access holes for the screws for the optics plate. And the lugs are now gone from the top of the barrel because they are engaging on the top of the slide because they're engaging on the barrel. But because of all of this and this bushingless sort of trumpet, if you will, at the end of the barrel, that's why we no longer have space for the fluted bull barrel that used to be in there. I thought it was really cool. It wasn't really necessary. And here's another thing to think about. In the Mark 12s was the smoothest shooting handgun out there that I've fired. Now moving to this, we have less mass shifting. Right? Part of what makes Ground Power so smooth is you don't have that Browning action slamming the barrel back and then down and then up and then forward. It's just twisting in place. Now we've got less mass shifting there. Potential for it to be even smoother shooting. This has been a quick dive into the Mark 23s to give you a feeling for what's coming. We'll of course have full reviews on the channel as soon as we can get our hands on something stateside. Thanks for watching. Those of you that stuck around this far past the outro, I know are the cool ones, so here's some extra bonuses for you. Hear that? Guide rod is now steel, not plastic. Not that I ever saw a plastic one break, but I did hear people being concerned about it. I mean, I don't know, I think the most I've ever put through one Ground Power was probably about 10,000 rounds, and the plastic's still good. But anyways, there's the steel. And during reassembly, thanks to the way these lugs work in this cam groove, barrel's not going to rotate while it's forward. So putting the gun back together is a whole lot simpler versus putting in there, lining up the serial number with the window, then rotating till it unlocks and trying to get everything to fit just right. Nope, it just slides forward. Boom. Easy. That's pretty cool. Can't wait for these to hit the US. Testing thermal with these vents just because we can. Let's see what kind of heat we get.
Oh, nice.
Should have put the mags in the other pocket. Is the barrel hot?
The barrel is hot. It's
Nice.
about the temperature of your thumbs now. That's awesome. Now push the slide forward. That's so cool.